Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. I have some fun Halloween ideas for your front porch. But first, don't forget to hit subscribe, the bell to be notified when I post new videos, and a thumbs up is very much appreciated. Okay guys, guess where I went today? The beach! And I thought I would share it with you just because it was extra beautiful today. I got to stop in here with my son. I live in Vero Beach, Florida, and that is the beach today. Okay, I'm going to make some projects for my front porch. So first, I want to make a wreath. I'm going to use one of these wreath rings from the Dollar Tree. This is the large one. I love the size for the front door because it's going to give us a really significant size wreath. And I thought I would try the technique where you weave the wreath with rope. So I'm going to use this rope from the Dollar Tree. I just grabbed 6 packages of this rope. This is the kind of the larger rope that they sell. And I thought 6 packages might be a good start. And you know what? 6 packages was absolutely perfect. So I am just starting my wreath by gluing that rope to the inside of one of those crossbars to try to get it attached to the wreath first so that I can start weaving. I've seen people do this with different kinds of wreaths, and I thought I would give it a go. I thought it would give me a slightly coastal feel, but I'm going to go really traditional for this Halloween stuff today. My son really loves Halloween, and I love decorating for it. And so I am just trying to get that started. I'm kind of gluing it to itself. I also added just a piece of twine just to make sure I wanted that to be really good and attached. And I didn't really have a lot to glue that to, so that got us started. And this is how I'm going to do it. So one way I went over the middle bar, the first way I went under, and I'm just going to keep alternating that. So make sure you leave the little plastic tape pieces on the end of your rope though, because that's going to make sure that it does not fray when you do all of this weaving. So basically that's all there is to it. You just go under one way and around, and then over the other way and then under. And you just keep going back and forth. Now I don't want my wire to show on my wreath. So after I get it on there, I kind of pull it tight and then I kind of push it tighter. I want to get as many as I possibly can in one of those little quadrants. So when I get to the end and I think I can go to the next one, I push it to see if I could fit like an extra row in there, and that just helped keep it really tight. Now this is about how far one of those packages of rope from the Dollar Tree go on this large size ring, and I am just hot gluing that back to the rope itself. And then I'm going to start a new package. I found the best way to do that was to glue them side by side, going in the same direction. And then I can go in, and from the front, you won't even know that I started a new rope, and it gave me a seamless transition. Now, I know this was time consuming, so we're going to put it into super speed Julie mode here and put on some good music. I put on something I wanted to watch on YouTube and just start weaving away. This does take a while. I think the total footage for me wrapping it was like 45-50 minutes. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of just one of those things that you do, and it's kind of enjoyable, but it is time consuming. You can take a little break every time you start a new package of rope though, because you do kind of have to wait for the hot glue to dry on the end piece and the beginning piece, but just keep weaving. And look how beautiful this turned out. Even my husband gave me a nice wow on this wreath because it is so pretty. I love it. I can't wait to try this technique on other wreath forms. I have like the football one. I have pumpkin ones. Like, it's limitless. And you don't even have to do it with this kind of rope. Okay, we got it all wrapped. Now I'm going around with my lighter and I'm just burning off all the extra fibers, cleaning it all up. There was a lot because there was a lot of rope. So 6 packages exactly filled up this wreath perfectly. So total invested now $7. Then I found this great wreath at the Target dollar spot. It's not a wreath, Julie. It is a tree. Haha. It is one of those black felt trees from the Target dollar spot. I believe it cost $5. It was in a pot, as you could see, and I just pulled that out. It's the perfect size for my wreath, and what I was going for was like a spooky forest. So I'm gonna try to find a way to attach that stem to the bottom on the inside, but I want all of my branches to be on the outside so that I can glue those to the top of the wreath. And so I am just going in here with hot glue, and then it needed something more. So I'm just using an extra piece of rope I had laying around, and I'm using that to help glue it down, just kind of going around, trying to give it something to be glued to on the front and the back, and then gluing that rope down onto the other rope too, just to secure that, because I don't want this little tree to fall out. And again, I got this tree at the Target dollar spot. Now at the top here, I've got it flipped over, and I'm just going to use hot glue, and I am going to glue those branches that overlap my wreath, and that's going to like glue it from the top and the sides and keep my little tree in place. And this tree is really pretty. I'm really glad I picked it up. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I'm so glad I thought to use it on this project, because I think this wreath is probably my favorite wreath I've ever made. It is so pretty. So any ones that like overlap, I am just gluing that down, and that's going to give me enough stability on this little tree. He's not like real hardy. He's kind of a little bit delicate, so I'm just kind of being careful with that tree. And now it's time to decorate this wreath. I thought I could use some of these little bats from the Dollar Tree. Yes, they're covered in glitter, and I hate glitter, but maybe for Halloween I can look past it, because I didn't really want to repaint these, and I think it's okay. So I think it would be fun if they were on the sides of the wreath on this one side, kind of making it look like they're flying away in unison. I had 2 packages. I ended up only using one of those. And then I thought it would be fun to add some ghosts. So I'm just kind of going through my stash, seeing what I have. And I have these little wood ornament ghosts from the Dollar Tree, and I think they would be perfect. So what I end up doing is just pulling the clips off of all of those bats. I'm going to use 4. And then just using hot glue to attach that to my woven rope wreath. Kind of all flying in one direction, kind of flying away. And I don't even mind that they have glitter on them. I know, crazy. And then I thought I would add a word on there too. I got some of those metal words from the Halloween section at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just trying to figure out which word I want to use. They have haunted and they have spooky. And I'm kind of going for both of those vibes. So I went back and forth about which word I should use. There's also a beware in there. And they're great signs. You can leave them metallic like that, but of course, you know, I'm going to paint it. And then I think I want like maybe 3 little ghosts in my little spooky forest tree. And so I'm going to paint, I chose spooky, that metal sign with ivory antique, no, it's not antique wax. I can't talk today. Ivory chalk paint by Waverly. And I'm going to use that color on all of my ghosts as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave the holes on the top of those ornaments, because I'm going to use that to tie them onto my tree. Now, the spooky metal sign, it did paint, but it did take quite a few coats to kind of get like a bright ivory color, and none of the metal like showing through. And so I'm just touching all of those up with another coat of that ivory chalk paint and drying with my heat gun. I really struggled coming up with an idea for this wreath, but man, I think I really did a good job on it. I was looking at wreaths on Etsy, and I was blown away by how much people charge for these handmade wreaths. I couldn't believe it. So this is definitely going to be a deal with my Dollar Tree and Dollar Spot items. So I'm going to use some of that twine that came with the little ghost ornaments and just use that to tie my little ghost on to my wreath. Cutting off the excess twine. I'm just going to put that one on a branch. And I just kind of want them to kind of be in the middle, kind of over on the left side of my wreath, since I have the bats on the right. So I'm going to tie this one here to this tree. And those two are kind of going to be kind of dangling. Super cute. And then the last one, I'm going to kind of do this one kind of over more to the side. And so I'm going to actually use hot glue to attach him so that he does not fall off. And the other two can kind of hang in the tree. I think that looks fun. And then I'm going to attach that little word spooky up in the top left corner there where I don't really have anything. Just kind of off to the side. Just making sure there's no wet paint on the back of that. And I think that looks pretty cool. And I really like this black and white color scheme. I'm going to use this a lot today to decorate my front porch for Halloween. Okay, your girl's going to try and make a bow. So I got this wonderful buffalo check black and white ribbon from the Dollar Tree the other day. It was in with the fall stuff. And I'm going to use the whole roll because I'm going to make like a great big bow. So I just squeezed a tail and then I'm just going back and forth doing loops. No need to twist. It's the same pattern on the front and the back. Until I can't do any more, I want an even number of loops. And then I'm just going to simply use a zip tie to cinch all of that together. Pulling down my two tails in the same direction and cutting off that extra zip tie. Then I'm going to put both of them together, fold it through, and dovetail both of those at the same time with my scissors. And this is great wire-rimmed, really nice, thick ribbon. And so I'm just shaping that into a big fluffy bow, and that is going to go on the bottom of our little bat and ghost spooky wreath. And then I'm just going to attach that with some twine, and I'm going to tie that off. And I can't believe how much I love this wreath. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Look at it. So the only thing I have left to do is to make a hanger so that I can hang it on my front door. And again, I'm just using some of that thicker twine and just tying it off and just making a simple loop. And then I found this at the Target dollar spot for $3. It says, "Hey Boo." The other side's got a spider web and it's perfect for my color scheme. And I'm going to put this on the bench in front of my house. Okay, it's time to make a doormat. Now, this is one of these Style Well doormats from Home Depot. I've never used one of these before, and I do make mistakes here today, but we learn. So I've been recommended to make a doormat with one of these because they are polyester and they're perfect for sublimation. If you don't know what sublimation is, it is a process where you take ink and you heat it up and it transfers into the material. It's really cool. You can use like an expensive like Sawgrass printer to print this out. I just converted an Epson. I will post a link below to the printer because I do have a new printer. I bought it on Amazon. Just so you can kind of see, you need specific Epson. You can't just do any Epson. It has to be one of the older ones because they've updated it where you have to use Epson cartridges and so much stuff. So basically you have to use empty cartridges because you have to use sublimation ink and you also use sublimation paper. So I have the large format one, so I was able to print out my image that I designed on Canva all on one sheet. Then I'm just going in here with my Cricut Easy Press and pressing that at 400 degrees for 1 minute. Now, I went really big on this design and I went too big because you'll see I do have some errors on here. So it was definitely a learning doormat, but I really like how it turned out. I've done this before on the corridor mats and it worked but faded quickly. So I found that once I did it, I would have to go over it with a paint pen and paint it, and that did work well. And I really like the corridor mats on the buffalo check mat under it. And I'm just going to try to do the same thing with this one because it's highly recommended. Now, what I did wrong here is you see the little black ridges. Those are made out of rubber and they are raised. So when I'm moving my easy press around, I'm not getting consistent pressure on the mat, because see how I'm kind of up on the sides? And you'll see what happens from that here in just a second when we pull off our sublimation paper. And that was just butcher paper, and I used heat tape to attach that. And you can see there's like along the bottom, it's not like evenly black, and there's a few areas of the house that's messed up because it didn't get even pressure. Now I'm going over it with just some spray polyacrylic to try to brighten that up. That always seems to help when I use sublimation on things like this, and it did brighten it up, you can see. But I do have inconsistent coloring there, so I'm drying that polyacrylic. And I will share the link on Canva for this image if you want to do one yourself. I'll take out my last name there though. And so to fix this, I am using a paint pen. So you'll see I just went along the bottom, painted the areas darker, and then went over that with a baby wipe to kind of blend it. And you can't even tell I screwed up. Thank goodness. But I love this saying, "Welcome, foolish mortals." I think it sounds nice and spooky for Halloween. And I got this image on Canva as well, and I think it's really fun with a haunted house and a little sign out front I put there with our name on it. And again, I will share this link if you want to use this yourself. And if you don't have a sublimation printer, you could always cut this out with your Cricut and stencil it. Okay, next project. I have a little table next to my front door. Now, I really struggle with the tablecloth, so I found this great fabric at the Dollar Tree, and I thought I would try to make an outdoor table covering with it. First I'm just going to iron it to get all the wrinkles out, but it's a round table, and I hate putting like little tablecloths on it because they blow around, they get wet, disgusting, because I live in Florida. So I went and drew the circle on the fabric, and I'm just going to make the table covering be the same size as my table. That's going to hopefully avoid it from flying around. So we will see if this works. And so I'm just using my fabric scissors and cutting that out the best I can into a circle for the top of my table. Now I want it to be weatherproof. So I'm going to use just some of this clear matte spray paint, and I'm just going to spray all over. It says it seals things, so I'm going to try it on this fabric to see if I can make this fabric like an outdoor fabric to make it more durable, because again, Florida, we get rain. So I put a coat on there and dried it with my heat gun, and I'm just doing one more coat, and this made the fabric nice and thick and durable feeling. I think this might work. And then to attach it, I'm using duct tape, because what could be stickier than that, right? So I'll let you know if this works or not, but I think this might work. So I'm just going to duct tape this to the top of that table, and I won't have to worry about it. Okay, next project, coffin time. I got these great coffin signs at the Dollar Tree, and I picked up 2 because I thought, hey, I could probably make a little coffin, and that would be a really cool thing to have by my front door. Now, I also got this craft wood at the Dollar Tree. A couple of my Dollar Trees have been carrying these different kinds of craft woods, and I was really glad to see it because wood is super expensive. So great. So I'm just kind of measuring what the sides are, and look, I bought myself a sliding miter saw. This is the first time I've ever used it. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to miter anything. I'm just going to do some straight cuts until I learn how to use it. But don't worry, I will. I'll play around with it. I'll become a pro maybe. I was a little scared and intimidated by this. It's a big old saw, but it worked so well. It was so easy. I love it. So I'm just measuring and then kind of using a pen for where I need to cut. And then I cut that, make another one for the other size, the same size. And I'm just going to use that craft wood until I have a piece for every edge. Now, on the top and the bottom, I didn't really account for the fact that I needed to make it smaller to fit inside the groove, but that's okay. It all works. And I'm just going to attach it with hot glue. So I put a bead of hot glue on there, and I'm just going to put my craft wood on there. And again, like the corners there on the sides of the coffin, I really should have mitered those. I didn't. So I just fill in the gaps with hot glue. I'm like, it was my first time using the saw, right? So I'm going to attach the other side of my coffin. And this is what I mean. That doesn't fit in there because I cut it a little too long. But I'm just going to glue it to the bottom, and it'll just stick out a little bit and provide a base for my coffin anyway. So no big deal. Now here's where I get like the kind of the opening. It's kind of weird because I didn't miter that. So I will definitely learn how to do that. I got a sliding miter saw because I thought that would be more flexible. Like I would be able to cut like wider things. And I have an old bed that I'm going to cut up. And oh man, I'm excited about my new saw. So fun. I had to clear out a spot on my workbench though. So that was challenging. So I'm just going around and attaching all of those with hot glue just to one side. Now, this coffin sign is a two-sided sign. One side says welcome and one side says trick or treat. So I'm just going to do both of the signs going the same direction. That way it will make it a two-sided coffin. So I'm just making sure it fits. And then I'm just going to go put a bead of hot glue around all the edges of my little creepy coffin. This is a really great size to go on that little table I have by my front door. And it's going to be a nice, fun sign to welcome people. So that's the gap I was talking about on the side. I just filled it with hot glue. I'll learn how to miter eventually, I'm sure. And then I am just going to paint the sides. And this color is ink, chalk paint by Waverly. And just kind of make that go in with, match better with the front and back of the black coffin. And we have a little coffin for our front door. You could even be extra with this. Like you could put like, little brackets where you could like open the coffin and stuff like that. But I'm just using it for decor. So it doesn't need to be like super functional. And so I'm just going around all of my edges and painting them in that ink color. And this turned out really cute. It was so simple to put together. And we have trick or treat on one side and we have welcome on the other. So trick or treat, I can change it for Halloween. And it's final reveal time. Here is my little spooky ghost and bat wreath. I absolutely love this thing. Look how cute it is. And I used all supplies from the Dollar Tree and the Target Dollar Spot. Everything was Dollar Tree except for that tree, which was Target Dollar Spot. And it's so fun. Look how cute. And I love the rope technique for the wreath. It's so pretty. Just a small touch of coastal. And here's my little Hey Boo pillow on my bench that I picked up at the Target Dollar Spot. Adorable. And here's my doormat. Welcome, foolish mortals. But I kind of messed it up a little bit. I did sublimation, but I fixed it. It looks pretty good. What do you think? And then last but not least, we did our little coffin on the table there next to my mat. And I have it turned where it is going to say the word welcome. The other side says trick or treat. And it's really fun. And here is my little table covering, how that turned out. I cut it to size with Dollar Tree fabric and then sprayed it with some clear matte spray paint to seal it. And I love the two-sided part of my coffin. And I got to use my new saw. So super exciting. So this is what it looks like the other way. Trick or treat. Are you guys excited for Halloween? Do you guys like to decorate a lot? And do you do like classic? What kind of theme do you do? And what was your favorite project from today's video? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate you. Until next time.